All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Victoria Dowling. I head up the renovation team here at Cross Country Mortgage. For those of you who don't know, renovation loans allow you to purchase and renovate or refinance and renovate your home that you're buying or that you're living in. And whether you have no equity today or want to make a low down payment, we have great options because we're lending against the future value of your house. So we can really help make your renovation dream a reality. And we're so excited to be able to offer this new series for you guys. Once a month, we're going to take a moment to stop and talk to our favorite designer, Kate, about different topics relating to renovation and design. Kate, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thanks, Victoria. I'm super excited to be here. So my name is Kate Troyer. I am the owner and main stylist at Home Slice Living. And basically, our goal is to design homes and spaces that serve you through a kind of a special mixture of lifestyle services along with a kind of mix of feng shui. So we really believe that your home is just, or even your office space or your workspace is really this living, breathing thing, and it should evolve with you, over time, and it should rise up to meet you. It should help, meet your needs, and as you kind of move through life. So our goal as life stylists is to not only give you a space that's aesthetically pleasing, but it should serve a function and purpose and be a cohesive foundation to, bring everything together into a home that best fits and serves you.
I love that. And that's one of the reasons I love renovation financing, because it really does help families get those things accomplished so that the home is something that fits their needs, their style, and adds value at the same time. And so guys, today, what we want to talk about with you are some different renovations that you can do that will add value to your house. These are 5 popular renovations. And we really want to go through with Kate and talk about what's the best way for you to spend your money in each of those renovations so that you're getting the most for your value and for added value to your property. So we all know that adding square footage will add value to your house. But there are smaller renovations you can do that are also going to add value, make the house more aesthetically pleasing, and make your house more functional. So the first one we wanted to talk about today was flooring. And so, your return on investment for putting in a new hardwood floor is roughly 70 to 80%. So it's a really great renovation to do. It generally increases the sales price of your home by about 2.5%. So Kate, why don't you tell us a little bit about when someone is looking to do flooring, what do you think their best way to spend that money is?
So I think it depends on a couple different things because there are so many different flooring options, especially now, and there are really a lot of high quality laminate flooring options as well. So whether you go with, just starting with like a hard flooring, whether you go with a laminate or a hardwood is going to depend on a couple of things. One, your needs as a family, and 2, kind of the neighborhood that you're in. If the majority of your neighbors have a true hardwood floor, I would recommend that you stick with that as well. Not necessarily for the, for the durability, but rather for if you ever plan on reselling that home, people are going to expect that you also have hardwood floors in there. So you want to stay, in the same range as your other comps are going to be. But there's really so many different things. So there's, different laminates, and you might choose that for durability. If you have pets, if you have kids, it's going to wear longer. It doesn't need as much maintenance as a hardwood does. If you really need to spend budget other places, you can also always look at carpet. Carpet's going to be the least expensive thing to install, but obviously there's a wide range of carpet that you can go from very inexpensive to very high end. So you kind of have a range to choose from there, and you kind of have the same thing with laminate. I think my probably biggest point when we're talking about flooring is kind of the the amount of flooring that you're, kind of putting in your home. So how many different
we have a
flooring
poll question for that too,
Oh,
right?
do we?
I
Yeah,
think
why don't
so.
we go ahead with that? I got
Right.
ahead of myself.
So yeah, great question. How many different flooring should you have in your home? We got that poll popped up as a multiple choice right now. No wrong answers. Let's just take the poll and then Kate's going to tell us more about what makes the most sense. Oh, and we got a few results in.
I like these answers. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I feel like as a loan officer, I've seen so many appraisals where you walk into a house and you are looking at pictures going in and throughout, and there's just different levels of flooring and different types of flooring, and it can be jarring. So what do you think as far as the flow of the home?
So for me, we kind of put a little diagram together here. So when it comes to flooring, my thought with flooring is always less is more. I know that back in the 80s and 90s, it was and even before that, it was very popular to have different flooring or different colored carpets and different colored tiles in every room of the house. But what's hard about that is it's hard for, especially with a more open floor plan, it's hard for your eye to settle somewhere. And so it doesn't feel nice and cohesive. It has less of a, an easy flow throughout the home. So I like to say less is more. So like example with this diagram, showing kind of two different types of flooring on the first floor. Let's say that we used our hardwood or laminate in our foyer, our hallway, our bedroom, living room, and kitchen, especially since those are open to each other. And then we could do a really nice tile in the bathroom. This is also going to help you with cost as well, because you don't have all these different installations going in. You have one main installation, and then maybe you're adding, one or two different, depending on how many bathrooms you have, you could do different tiles in each of the bathrooms. But you do like a nice tile in the bathroom, and then bedrooms. Then I feel that bedrooms are more about your preference. I have a lot of clients that want carpet in their bedrooms because they want it to be warmer and softer. I'm a huge fan of area rugs, so I personally would rather have a hard flooring kind of throughout, and then mimic carpet with area rugs. But when it comes down to bedrooms, I really think it's more about your personal preference.
So my takeaways from flooring are less is more, keep it cohesive in the main living spaces for sure, and know your neighborhood. So you don't want to over improve. You don't want to put in the most expensive hardwood floor if none of your neighbors have hardwoods, unless you really, really want them and you're not concerned about that return on investment. But if you're really looking for your return on investment, know what your neighborhood has and keep it as simple as possible. Another topic we wanted to talk about today are mudrooms, and I love mudrooms. It's always one of my favorite renovations to see because it kind of meets all of our goals, right? It helps make the house more functional for you. It makes the house more beautiful. And when buyers are looking at houses, they see that first. It's their first impression of the home, is this structured storage space. So talk to us about mudrooms, Kate. If someone's looking to do a mudroom, how should they best spend their money?
So I think it depends. I feel like we're kind of seeing like a resurgence of mudrooms lately, and they kind of went away for a while, and it was like, no, just shove everything in a closet. And really, when we go back to functionality and again, how your home can serve you, how it can set you up to kind of live a better, more organized life, I think mudrooms are just such a huge piece of that, right? So I think that, not all homes have a mudroom. I think that if you have an existing space that maybe needs like a little love or an update, you could start with putting new shelving in, adding a bench, maybe adding, like an upholstered bench or something like that to make it more cozy. If you have kids, you could even go as far as, each of them having their own cubbies or bins with their names. to, you know, not only put shoes and coats, but, you know, things that they need for the next day, or maybe they're in gymnastics or softball, you know, to really where everybody can have a space to put things that are being used all the time, so that when it's time to get up and run out the door for school or activities or whatever it is, it's right there for you to grab. And then when you come home from those things, I think you can also kind of, you know, teach your kids or your husband, you know, how to where to put their stuff and put everything away when you come home. So it really just kind of helps create a more organized way of living. Now, I know that not everybody has the, you know, the space for a mudroom. So for example, our photo on the right, this is actually an investment property that I helped design earlier this year. We didn't have a space for a mudroom, but we did expand the kitchen. And then this was actually an old closet area where you came in the back door. So instead of leaving that as just a closet where, you know, throwing a door on it, we went ahead and opened up the front of it and then put this little space, you know, so it's maybe not technically a mudroom, but you could consider it kind of a hall tree, or at least, you know, kind of a dump zone, where at least when you're coming in, you know, you've got a place to put your coat, you've got a place, you know, we put a basket there. So especially in the wintertime, hats, gloves, things like that, you can tuck your shoes underneath, you have a place to sit down. Just to have a space to collect your things before you leave, and then dump your things kind of when you get home.
Yeah, and I love that picture that you have there too, because it takes a space that was a closet, and yes, closets add value, but now it's a custom built in, and that's just going to make your home that much more functional for you, because now it's built exactly for you and your family. Or if you're looking to sell, it really highlights what your home has to offer versus a closet, which everybody expects to see somewhere. So I love that picture. That's such a great one.
And I like that you use the word, you know, custom, because that's something, you know, I think about when we're spending the money on a renovation loan. We don't just want this builder grade feeling house. There's so many things that we can do that aren't going to break the bank. Like, this wasn't a crazy thing for us to do, right? It's a little bit of money and wood and some hooks and a little bit of paint. It wasn't anything crazy. It was very simple to do, but it really gives that custom look over, you know, like you said, just a closet with a door on it. So
it's a great picture. So mudrooms, take away here. Great way to add extra value even to small spaces in your home. Create a custom look, and not only a custom look, but something that can really work for you and your family. So great functionality overall. All right, let's talk about kitchens, because I feel like we could honestly have a whole call about kitchens by themselves.
We really could.
Because there are so many different ways to spend money in the kitchen. And you know, I think that there are different ways that you can spend less money and still have impact. Believe it or not, a minor kitchen remodel actually has a better return on investment than a major kitchen remodel. Minor kitchen remodel has an 81% return on investment versus a major high-end remodel, which would be somewhere around 53%. So let's hear your tips and tricks, Kate. How can someone take their kitchen reno budget and really maximize it so that they're getting the most impact?
So again, I think this depends on whether you are completely planning on gutting your kitchen, like maybe you hate the layout, you're blowing out some walls, you know, all that good kind of stuff where you need all new cabinetry and everything like that in order to fill the space back up. But let's just go ahead for a moment and consider that we're not taking out the cabinets, right? We're going to use the cabinets we have, which is huge. It's a little crazy to me, but I run into clients all the time that don't realize that they could just paint their existing cabinets. You know, that is such a huge thing that you can do. And compared to getting all new cabinets, it's such a minimal cost. I would recommend that when you are painting cabinets, have someone, a professional, paint your cabinets, because it's going to be, you know, whether you're doing a renovation loan or not, it's going to make such a big impact. Like, you can tell when you take a brush to your cabinets, you know, as opposed to a company coming in and spraying them and They use a higher quality of paint so that it lasts and they aren't chipping and wearing in your kitchen. So paint on your cabinets is like the biggest thing, especially if you have solid wood cabinets. Just go ahead and paint them, unless the style is hideous. But I have to be honest, I haven't run across too many solid wood cabinets that I'm like, oh God, there's just no help for this. The style is horrible. Usually you can get away with painting them and adding some new hardware. So I think that if you don't have to rip out any cabinets, or maybe you do, but you can keep most of the existing, the biggest thing I think that you can do to keep your budget low is paint your cabinets. A second thing, which I just kind of mentioned, would be your hardware. There's so many different options in hardware right now. And an example of that would be this. So something that you're going to get at a hardware store is going to be probably at least $5 a piece for something that's nice and gives you more of a custom look. So you're going to be spending probably $5 to $15 per handle. You can get on Amazon right now and order, 30 pieces that are literally going to be $1 to $2 a piece. Here's the difference: is something that you pick up at the hardware store is going to be solid. Something that you get on Amazon is going to be hollow. So when you're holding them in your hands, you can tell the difference, right? The ones from Amazon too may have a couple little imperfections. I always order like a handful more, just to kind of plan on that, but they're so inexpensive. Once they're on your cabinet though, you really can't tell, how heavy that piece is. So unless you're doing a higher end kitchen remodel, or it's just really important to you that you have solid hardware, I recommend, going on Amazon. They have so many different styles and for a really great price. And not only that, in 5 years or so, when you feel like, oh man, I want a little something different in my kitchen, which is the most expensive room to update, you can easily go back and change out your hardware. You didn't spend a ton on it to begin with, so you don't mind getting rid of it. And then it's very inexpensive for you to go ahead and pick up new hardware. And just changing out the color or the style of hardware can make a huge impact. So it's also something, if you're being mindful of how you might want to update your home, in the future without having to do major things, hardware is a great thing for that.
I think that's a great tip. And especially, like you said, if you're getting it on Amazon, somebody who's opening the cabinet door, they're not going to feel how heavy that handle is. If it's got the same look and style, it just makes so much sense to save the money where you can. Now, I know also there are a lot of cabinets out there, and high-end versus low-end cabinets. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you're designing a kitchen, what are your thoughts there?
So really, at the end of the day, that depends on the client. It depends on the client. Also, again, depends on the neighborhood. Are you going to plan? And it depends on what your goals are with your home. Is this your forever home that you want to stay at for the rest of your life? Then I think that's a different conversation. If it's not a home that you want to stay in forever and you're not in a crazy high-end neighborhood, I think that you can go with less expensive cabinets right now. Because even now, again, we just have so many options. And even like lower end cabinets, again, you're getting something that's hollow and probably like an MDF board that's, sprayed there, versus like a solid wood cabinet. But even the cheaper options now, you can get with a soft close. You could maybe spend a little bit more money on hardware if you go with a cheaper cabinet, or something like that. So again, I think that comes down very much down to preference. And then what are your goals with the home? Are you going to be living there forever? Or are you going to be living there for a short period of time, or even, 10 to 15 years, but that you're going to be moving? Depending on your neighborhood, again, like whether it's worth that investment or not, especially, for your first 10 or 15 years, even going with a less expensive cabinet, you're probably not going to notice that, you saved some money there. So yeah, I think it just kind of depends. But there are a couple different options for a lower grade cabinet if you are looking right now. One, if you are local in the Cleveland, Ohio area where I am, MFS Solutions over in Solon has a really great selection of pre-made cabinets. And they can do custom sizes. They will literally come out, measure, put drawings together for you. And they have really, really great prices on cabinets. We actually have those. We live in a condo and we're obviously not going to stay forever. And so that's actually what we have in our kitchen. And then we went with a higher end countertop though, which is actually something else I wanted to mention. So we've got like marble countertops, but we went with a less expensive cabinet. So our kitchen looks higher end, but we didn't spend a ton of money on it. So that's really going to help us in our resale value, right? When people come in there and be like, whoa, marble countertops, like, okay. But yeah, we don't have solid, wood cabinets, but it's fine. We're living in a condo and, we're only going to be here for a few years. So that leads me to just kind of talking about a couple of things that you should spend money on in your kitchen, especially if you're doing a renovation loan, are your countertops and your appliances. So especially if you're going to resell in the near future, appliances are so huge. I mean, how many times do you have people come in and they're like, oh, these appliances suck, or they're old, or they're dated. So going with, spending a little bit more of your budget on appliances, stainless steel is always popular. Obviously, if you want a more custom look like the kitchen that's kind of pictured now, that's a little different story. Again, this is probably going to be found in a higher end home, but going with like a stainless steel is very timeless, and you're never going to waste your money on that. And also too, when you buy cheap appliances, guys, you end up usually having to replace them in just a matter of a few years, or you end up having to fix them, and then you're spending money that you could have just spent a little bit more money up front. So if you're already doing a renovation loan, build that into your budget to get higher end appliances, like especially if you use your kitchen, like it's going to be totally worth it. And then the second thing that I mentioned was countertops. So, I feel like laminate countertops are like, just don't do it if you're doing a renovation loan. Every time somebody walks into a home, and especially if you're going to resell and you have laminate counter, not that there's anything wrong with them. If you're already doing the renovation though, like spend a little bit of money on countertops, especially now we have all these different quartz options that are, they're so durable, they're so user friendly. You don't have to do a lot of maintenance with them. And, they're a little bit lower on the budget than a granite or a marble. I'm partial to granite myself just because I love stone, but it is a lot more maintenance. And it does have a higher price tag, especially depending on what type of stone you go with. But, I think that, going with at least a nice quartz, there's so many options now, it's totally worth it.
I love what you said too about, you could spend less on an appliance now and then have to replace it 3 times in the next 10 years, or, it just might not be there as long. And that's one of the things that we always talk about with the renovation financing too. It's like, get those big ticket items taken care of now in your budget in an affordable way, and then you're set. You don't have to worry about that expense down the line. And it's not like, your kitchen handles are going to need to be replaced unless you want to stylistically change them, but those appliances are. And so, such a great point that you want to make sure you're picking something that's going to last and function for you as well. So takeaways on kitchen are save money on cabinets and hardware wherever you can, and spend the money on the appliances and the countertops. I think that's great advice. And I will say, in 18 years, I've never had anybody come to me and say, I want to put laminate countertops in the kitchen. They're always looking for stone. So I think that that's great advice to give. Of course, second to kitchens are bathrooms. We see bathroom remodels all the time. And bathroom remodels can range in price so dramatically. I've seen people do projects that are $5,000 all the way up to $50,000. A mid-range bathroom remodel has about a 70% return on investment. So it's still a great option if you're considering to renovate. What do you want to do? This is going to add value back to your house. What are some budget-friendly ways to make that bathroom remodel work?
So I think, we kind of touched on them with the kitchen. So I want to touch on not only how you can do a little bit more budget friendly, but also how you can kind of get a more custom looking bathroom.
Love it.
On a budget. Because I think that's really important. I mean, especially things like powder rooms are so easy to do this in, and you can kind of be a little bit more fun with that. But I will say my biggest one for saving a little bit of money in your bathroom is going with countertop remnants. So if you are not aware of what that is, the companies that you can get your stone from will have leftover small pieces from larger jobs. And so they will price those out, and they're usually like square footage wise, like half the cost of what a full slab is. Sometimes even less, depending if it's something unique that they can't really get rid of. So you can save a huge, huge, huge amount of money there. So that's probably my number one tip for saving money in your bathroom, and also, you know, kind of achieving a higher end look without breaking the bank. So countertop remnants are huge. So if you are looking for stone, you know, if you're going to the granite store, or if you're, you know, you're working with your contractor, make sure you mention, you know, when you go to do the quote with your contractor, hey, we want to use remnants for our bathroom countertops. That's going to be a huge, huge, huge saving for you. So that would probably be my number one. And then I think just something fun to, again, like, let's go, I mean, because really a lot of the things that we talked about in the kitchen, aside from, you know, appliances, I guess, are really going to apply to your bathroom. But I guess in the same frame or the same line of appliances, you know, your faucets and things like that, buy nicer faucets, you know, treat yourself with a nice shower, with a good shower trim or a shower head, and your faucets, because again, those are things when you buy, you know, less expensive options. And I, don't get me wrong, I love Amazon, but when you're buying the really inexpensive options off Amazon or things like that, they tend to leak or break, or they don't fit right because they're European fits, and that's not what we have over here. And then you have to send them back and get other stuff where you have to get all these special fittings to make them work. You know, don't pain yourself with that, especially now. Lowe's and Home Depot, you know, will offer a lot if you want to spend less. Lowe's and Home Depot offer really nice options from Delta and Moen that you can really get in, and they offer them in matte black and brass and, you know, the chrome and silver. So you can get a lot of options still for a really good price from them. So that, in keeping with the kitchen, if you want to go with, you know, kind of creating like a more custom feeling bathroom, again, we can talk about painting your cabinets, and instead of doing something like a white or a black, you could go with something fun like this. Even the photo that we're showing right now is like kind of a different, you know, kind of gray that you don't see all the time. Or if you kind of have like a bright, fun personality, go with a really bright, fun color. If it's just you and you want a pink cabinet, like, go with pink cabinets. Like, you know, there is really a place that you can, especially if you do a lot of the rest of the bathroom in like whites or something, you know, you could like pop some color and have a little bit of fun with your base cabinets. Another thing would be tile placement. So in your bathrooms, you can go with like a vertical tile placement instead of the regular horizontal. It's something that is very popular right now. And especially if you go with kind of a timeless neutral tile, I think that that's something that's going to remain timeless. And if you have another side note about this, if you have shorter ceilings in your home, or you don't have extremely tall ceilings, this is something that can actually help your bathroom feel more spacious and taller, because your sight line is going to go from the floor straight up to the ceiling. So that's really a nice way to, again, have a custom vibe and make a smaller bathroom, you know, feel a little bit larger.
I love that. I love those tips. And I love the tip about painting too, especially because paint is something that is not permanent. And so you can make it feel more custom by doing a unique color. And if you change your mind a year from now, a month from now, change it, right?
Yes.
With little cost. Like, I love this picture that we have up right now that's got the wallpaper too. And I know wallpaper's changed so much. Like a lot of people, in the beginning, when I started doing renovation loans, I would see lots of people have wallpaper removal, and it was always so expensive because the wallpaper to remove it was so labor intensive. But now it's very different, and it's not like that anymore, right? They have peel and stick options.
Yeah, there's actually like 3 or 4 different options for applying wallpaper now. And there's several great companies where you can kind of do the classic, the mid-range version, and the peel and stick all in the same pattern. So you can kind of decide, how long you want that to last in there. And I think, this bathroom is just such a great example of giving your bathroom like a custom vibe without doing anything crazy, right? So they obviously probably put new cabinetry in. It is a fun color, but 3 things that I see right off the bat that make this bathroom feel really fun and custom and probably weren't, breaking the budget. 1, you already mentioned the wallpaper. 2 is they went with a really fun mirror. Like, you guys, you don't have to go to the hardware store and buy a bathroom mirror. You can put whatever mirror you want in your bathroom, right? Like, you could find it at Target, you could find it on Wayfair, you could go with something vintage or more ornate, because it just, again, is giving you that more custom look. And then the other thing that they did was add the molding on the back wall. And that's something too, that you can do really very easily now, with some thinner pieces of like an MDF board, staple it on up there, throw some paint on it, and it looks really custom and awesome. And, it only costs you like a few bucks.
Yeah, those are such great tips. I didn't even notice the mirror until you said it, but it's so true. We're also kind of programmed, I think, to get that bathroom mirror and put that bathroom mirror up above the sink. And yeah, you can make that bathroom mirror anything you want it to be. So that's such a great tip too. And this bathroom leads perfectly into our next category, which was painting.
Yeah.
Love this wallpaper, love paint. I think we have another poll coming in. So what type of paint should your walls be? What sheen? So multiple choice question here. And we've got satin, matte, flat, semi-gloss. Let's see what our results are.
All right. Everybody's doing good with these polls. I'm so proud.
What are your thoughts on the paint sheen?
So paint sheens for me, cabinets are usually done in a satin. I know some painting companies, there is one painting company that's local in Cleveland. Shout out to Textbook Painting. If you are in the area, they are absolutely fabulous. And if you're over here on the east side and you call them, I will do your color consult for you. So I've teamed up with them. A lot of professional companies will, technically they're using more of a gloss paint, but the way that they spray and then the finish that they put over actually ends up being like a satin finish. And then walls for me are like always matte. Ceiling you're going to do in a flat, and then your trim is usually a semi-gloss. People are always afraid to, I shouldn't say always afraid. I have a lot of clients that are afraid to go into the matte and the satin because they think you're not going to be able to clean it. And while that used to be true several years ago, the quality of our paint has just increased so much to where really with a matte and a satin, you're getting pretty much the same durability and cleaning ability as you are with a semi-gloss. Obviously, a semi-gloss is going to be a little bit easier, but for the most part, I mean, you're getting the same durability and sustainability with that. And also, too, something to think about. So you're doing a renovation loan. Let's say you're renovating an older home. The walls in your older home are going to have imperfections, from just being put in to where they've been patched and redone over the years. So you're going to have, some dips and some bumps and things like that. Like, it's just inevitable. And if you are painting over your walls with the semi-gloss, that's going to highlight, all of those imperfections because it's going to shine. The sun comes in and it's like, here are all the imperfections in our walls. So a matte or a satin is really going to help hide those imperfections as well and make the walls look a lot softer.
Yep. And one of the reasons we love paint is because it is one of the least expensive, highest return on value renovations you can do. It's really affordable, budget friendly, and it has 107% return on investment. So just painting, just bringing your house up to date, not only can make it feel more custom, feel more like you and your family, but it is actually adding value. So we love painting. And I think we have some pictures of some before and afters, or at least one.
Yeah, I think we have one. Oh yeah, this is actually of one of my clients' homes.
Oh, perfect.
And yeah, so I was trying to find one of the other way too, because we did like 3 rooms and we did all 3 kind of different colors. But just in this room, like the difference is absolutely insane, right? Like it's so much softer, and literally that's just paint, and
Yeah.
it's already made such a huge impact. I feel like even the flooring looks like different flooring, and it's not. So yeah, so I just goes to show you how big of an impact, paint can make. Again, it is the least expensive thing you can do. It's the easiest thing you can do. It depends on, how handy you are or how tall your ceilings are, and whether, it's the easiest thing ever, but it's definitely going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. So something else that you can kind of do, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of color trends. So you saw on the first slide that we kind of had, Sherwin-Williams color of the year, which is that urbane bronze, which is really, really pretty. So I know that a lot of people are still painting in lots of cool grays and whites, but that is actually kind of trending out of style now. And we're going back to more warmer, earthy tones. And lots of neutral tones. So I'm seeing a lot of white now. And I have a lot of clients that are like, I want white walls. And, I will say that I do recommend anytime that you're painting, even if you just use, the consultants from Sherwin-Williams, get a color consultation, because, I've had to like, oh, well, we just wanted white. So we just picked this white. And then it has a really blue undertone, and they're like, oh, our walls are like baby powdery blue. And it's like, they were supposed to be white, there's like 5 or 6 different strips of just whites in one company's, color palette. So having a color consult is huge. And I just highly recommend that, unless you're very good and very comfortable with color, to get a color consult. I mean, just even today, I was actually with a client earlier doing a color consult for her kitchen, and her whole kind of open living space. And we went with some neutral walls, and she really wanted a navy island. And yes, that would be beautiful. However, she had a ton of warm tones in her granite. And then the other tones of her other walls were very warm in nature. So going with like a very cool blue with all of that warmth, you're going to walk into the space and just be like, oh, this is really pretty, but something feels off. And it's going to cause your eye to jump back and forth between the two, instead of seeing it as one and feeling cohesive. So I kind of taught her a little bit about, looking at undertones and paint color. And then we settled on a blue that had an earthy undertone, so that it was cohesive and played nice with all of those colors. So just kind of a little side note and paint tip there for you. And something else that I think is trending are more bold colors. And I'm really excited about this because I feel like everything was so white and gray for so long. And I kind of hated that, because I just felt like everything was like a concrete box. And so I'm really excited to see like more vibrant, bold colors kind of coming out. And then I think we kind of wanted to wrap up with talking, again, we'll kind of bring it back full circle to the wallpaper, and just some fun ways that you can, use that in your home as well. And I think here's a couple pretty good examples. Especially with the peel and stick wallpaper that we have now, there's lots of fun ways that we can use that. And again, I'm kind of bringing this back to giving your home more of a custom vibe. So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like every other, it doesn't feel cookie cutter, especially if it was like a developer build or something like that. You're kind of making it unique to yourself. So, good places to add some wallpaper could be like if you have an entry, your entranceway, kind of like your main wall, in your dining room, maybe in a kid's room, or even the wall that you have your headboard on in your bedroom. And obviously, these are very fun, bright patterns, but there's also a lot of wallpaper that just kind of has a little bit of texture to it. So it kind of is a softer look. And then one of my favorites is this trend of putting wallpaper on your stair risers. I just think that is so fun, and it gives such a unique look, especially if your front door opens to the stairs. It's just such a really fun, custom thing to do.
I love that. I've actually never considered that before. And I don't know about our viewers, but my home is an old home and those stair risers have seen better days. And if I could just put some little wallpaper up on there, I'm sure it would look so much better. And just making something like that, it looks so much more custom, and custom totally adds value. Anything that makes the home more unique, more yours, more stylish, it's always adding value. So I love this category. It's such a great way to add value with the least amount of money that you can put out and to really brighten up your space. So takeaways from paint and wallpaper, don't be afraid. It's always something you can change in the future. And it's great to experiment with those colors and textures and really make a space your own. So those were our 5 categories for today. I can't believe we went through them all. But I know I saw some questions coming in. Caroline, do we have some questions from the audience?
We do, yes. So I'll go ahead and get started. There are quite a few. First one is, should mudrooms always use built-in shelving and benches?
I don't think you have to, but at the same time, what is in your mudroom if you have no shelving? Or what are you kind of using to order? I almost feel like you need one or the other, right? Because you need somewhere to either sit down or gather. Obviously, you can have wall hooks, which is where you can gather some things. But I feel like, if you have a bench with some storage, you've got a place to tuck something. If you don't have room for a bench, having some sort of storage system, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be shelving. I've also seen, maybe you're not able to do shelving, but here's kind of an idea. You could maybe, get on Facebook Marketplace or go to your local thrift store and find like an older, like antique dresser or a buffet that has, the deeper drawers in it that, you could maybe use for some storage and things like that. And then, have a little lamp on it and a bowl to throw your keys in. So I guess I will say you don't have to. I'll give you an alternative, maybe using like a cool piece of furniture for storage. If you're not able to add shelves, maybe your mudroom is, basically all windows or something like that. So where you don't really have that space. But if you are going to opt for, some type of furniture, I do still recommend, like, if you can, having a little ottoman or a stool or something of that nature. That way, when people come in and out, if it's not you even just guests, they have a place that they can sit down and take their shoes on and off.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next question. What is the best way to choose a team to manage our renovation for both inside and out?
To choose a team for renovation. I'll take that one. So when you're starting to think about your renovation, and the first thing is to clue in on what you want to do. And then if it's a big project, I generally recommend getting a general contractor, somebody who can manage the project and the subs for you and has reliable people that they work with consistently. That will help your project go faster and smoother most of the time, 99% of the time. And whenever somebody's thinking about what contractor to use, for a renovation loan, we're always looking for a contractor who's been in business for at least 2 years, who's licensed, and who has the proper insurance. But it's always a good idea for you to interview and kind of do a little background research on your contractor, especially if it's a bigger project that you're going to do. I recommend checking Home Advisor or third-party websites for reviews, and also pop over to Better Business Bureau and check there too. You're going to find the good reviews on Home Advisor and those third-party sites. And if there are any bad reviews out there, you'll find them on Better Business Bureau. So do your research, do your homework, ask friends and family. I think those are great ways to go. And a contractor might tell you he's licensed, might tell you he's insured. You can ask for that license number, and you can ask for an insurance certificate, and you should. Those are well within your rights to ask for as the person paying them to do the work. You can also ask them for references, but I think you're going to have better results with your own internet searching now that we all have access to that.
Thanks, Victoria. This question is for Kate. You mentioned Amazon, but what are some of your recommendations for great online retailers to utilize during renovation? Any to avoid?
Ooh. Oh gosh. Okay. So I would say any to avoid. I'll be honest with you, other than maybe getting like appliances and fixtures, I would say Lowe's and Home Depot would be my ones to avoid. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but if you want your home to look more custom and have a higher end look to it, even if you're not breaking the bank, like you can give your home higher end vibes by going with something more custom and adding a lot of those touches we spoke about without spending a ton of money. And what I find is that things from Lowe's and Home Depot, again, outside of things like appliances, and when I say fixtures, I mean like faucets and things of that nature. You know, a lot of people use that kind of stuff. So you see it in a lot of people's homes. There's a lot of builders and developers that use that, and it just kind of looks more cookie cutter. So those would be my two to maybe avoid. Some other good sources I have. So cabinets. One thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about kitchens is a company called Semi Homemade. And they do really cool stuff where you actually order your base cabinet. So that's without the cabinet doors from IKEA. So that's going to save you a ton of money. And IKEA can help you plan out your layouts and all of that good stuff. IKEA gets a bad rap, but I actually love IKEA. And I think there's so many great things that you can utilize from there when it comes to doing, you know, kind of custom home renovations. And then what Semi Homemade does is they make all of the cabinet doors to fit the IKEA cabinet bases. So you're getting a little bit higher quality, like solid door that you're putting on a cheaper cabinet base, which is going to save you a ton of money. And then my third one would be light fixtures. I think light fixtures are one of the biggest ways that you can customize your home. And a few websites that I use are Paragold. So that's with a P. Paragold.com is a great one for light fixtures and other kind of like more luxurious, higher end finishes for your home. And then there is, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I use them all the time. The name is evading me. I got to think of it. Oh, shoot. I literally use it all the time. I will think of it, or if not, I will look it up and shout it out to you at the end, because light fixtures are like huge for me. And then obviously Wayfair is a great place to kind of find stuff too. Everybody thinks that Wayfair just has furniture, and they have some nicer furniture. Some of it's kind of, you can get the same stuff on Amazon for cheaper. But if you're looking for some fun like light fixtures and then some other things, they also have things like wallpaper. So Wayfair is a good one. And then if you are looking at wallpaper, there's several amazing companies out there, but one of my favorites, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more fun and contemporary, there's a company called Spoonflower.com. And they have lots of different options, and they actually partner with artists, and the artists kind of will send out, you know, their designs and things like that, and you can get it in different wallpapers. They have the 3 different wallpaper options, and I think you can get like prints and stuff like that made from them as well.
Awesome, thank you. Next one, what do you think about concrete counters?
Oh, they're so popular right now. I'd like to hear that too.
Okay, So I like concrete countertops in the right homes. I really think it depends. To me, concrete countertops are more contemporary. And here in Northeast Ohio, we do have some areas that we have more contemporary homes. We don't have a ton of them. So I think that they're really cool in the right places. What I will say is get a professional that's going to do your concrete countertops so that they're well done. Because I have seen people that have done the whole DIY countertop thing, and yeah, they look, if you do a good job, they look nice at first, but also think about if you're in an older home that settles and moves, which is totally normal and natural. If you don't do them correctly, if you don't build a solid foundation for those concrete countertops, you are probably going to notice where it'll start to break away from other areas, by your sink or things like that. So you want to make sure that if you are going to do concrete countertops, go with a contractor that does concrete countertops, like it's their thing, because I really think it can be a very, very cool contemporary look. But just make sure that you're doing your research on who's doing them, and, pay more to have them done right.
Thank you. Do you recommend mixing metals finishes in the kitchen? For example, black matte handle with a bronze faucet.
Yes. I'm so glad someone asked that, because I absolutely love mixing metals and I do it all the time. And it is, again, one of my little tips for giving your home a more custom look. I actually work with a developer in the Cleveland area. And when I first started with them, they were doing all matte black everything, which, by the way, matte black is starting to fade out a little bit. So don't put matte black everything in every fixture and every faucet. Just mix it with other things so that you kind of can have it last a little bit longer. If you do it everywhere, it's still very farmhousey, and I hate to tell you guys, but farmhouse is on its way out. So mixing metals is amazing. I love to mix like brass and brushed nickel, or brass and chrome. Looks fabulous. I will say that here's my little kind of rule of thumb for when I'm doing it. I'll use a bathroom as an example. So if I'm going to mix metals in a bathroom, maybe what I'll do is like a brass mirror, and then I'll do silver or chrome sconces, and then I'll say this, brass, I'm trying to think of how to say this so it makes sense without the visual. So let's say we do a brass mirror, and then maybe we'll do all of our other fixtures in a chrome. So our faucet, our sconces, and our hardware will be in a brushed or a chrome. Or I take it as like, I'll do brass on the top, so a brass mirror and a brass light fixture, and then chrome on the bottom, or black on the bottom, one of the two, or mix however you want, with a black faucet and black handles. So I hope that made sense.
Perfect. Okay, next one is a little bit lengthy, so just hear her out. I am a first-time home buyer who is currently hating the market and trying to purchase the right, quote, ugly house to upgrade over the next 5 to 10 years and get a return on my investment. We would like to purchase, renovate, and get equity out of it in the future, but we were never told about a renovation loan. We are having a difficult time with offers on homes because they require a renovation loan only. Can you add renovation loan clauses to a conventional loan?
So that's a great question. I'll take that one. We have a number of renovation loans. So Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong, but the question is, can we do conventional renovation loans?
Yes.
Yeah, and we can. So a lot of lenders will only offer FHA 203K, and that's probably the one you've heard the most about. It's what most people know about. But we have 5 different renovation loans here. It's one of the things I love about Cross Country Mortgage. We really want to make sure we have the solution that fits your needs the best. So we have FHA 203K, we have Fannie Mae Homestyle, which is a conventional renovation loan. We have Freddie Choice, DA renovation, and USDA renovation. So we have a ton of options to help you achieve what you're trying to do. And yeah, we see that all the time where certain homes are listed cash only or renovation financing. And so any of our renovation products would allow you to close on that house in its current condition, which lets you do exactly what you want, buy a house slightly under market value, make it your own, and add equity and wealth at the same time. So we'd love to help you with that. And we'll have our contact info again at the end of the presentation.
Okay, and building on that, can I build an addition with a renovation loan?
You can build an addition with a renovation loan. We see that happening more and more because people are changing the way they use their homes. So in the past, maybe your home was a perfect size, but now you need a home office, or you need a space where your parents can move and live in and be closer to you, or maybe your kids are moving back and need their own space as well. So you can use a renovation loan to build an addition, an accessory dwelling unit, even, so that it's like a separate apartment. And we're seeing so many people need them, not only for that extra space, but also because now a lot of people are working from home. So maybe during the pandemic, you had the option to work from home and you don't want to go back. And now you need a home office space. And we actually have a series coming up, or another Zoom like this that we're going to do, where we're going to talk about home office and how to feng shui your home workspace or your kids' workspace that's in your home. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you, Victoria. And then following up with that, what should I know before applying for a home renovation loan?
So if you own a home and you want to do a renovation refinance, the important thing is to know what you want to do and who you want to do the work. You can reach out to us at any point. We're happy to run the numbers for you, let you know what that interest rate looks like, what your monthly payment will look like, to make sure you're comfortable with that piece of it while you're doing your research. But really knowing who you want to do the work and what you want done are the biggest keys when you're doing a renovation refinance. If you're thinking about doing a renovation purchase, I would say the same thing. Knowing who you want to do the work is super important, especially in this current market. Sellers want to move quickly. So what you would do is you would get a renovation pre-approval from us, so you know what your budget is. And then once you've found a house, if you've got that contractor picked out, we can move really quickly to help you get into that property. It just speeds up the process.
Thank you. So I think this is the last question, unless anybody has more questions they can put in the chat box. But Hillary wrote, I saw Wayfair has Z-line appliances, lower price point, but look nice. Are they a good option?
I wish that I could give you good advice on that. I'll be honest with you. I have never used them, and I've never had a client buy them. So unfortunately, I cannot weigh in on that. What I would say, though, is anytime that you're looking on something on Wayfair and Amazon, is make sure you read the reviews, and don't just read a couple, especially when it's a larger purchase like that. Make sure you really do some research, because if you can, if it's the look you want, and the reviews are good, and you think it's going to be a good lasting appliance, I think it's worth saving the money. But I would just say do your research, and then get off Wayfair too, and just look up your brand and then some reviews on that, and just do your homework. So whenever you're saving money on something that's like normally a higher end purchase, I would just say do your due diligence and do your research.
Perfect. And last question that I'm going to have you answer for now, and I know you touched on this towards the end of your presentation, but Brad is wondering, is Wallpaper back in?
Yes, I love wallpaper. I do. I freaking love wallpaper. If I could get away with it, I'd probably wallpaper several rooms in my house. I have thus far only done a little nook in my office. But I love wallpaper, especially like we were talking about, they have so many options that you don't have to live with forever. A peel and stick option is super, super, super awesome, because you could decide in 2 years that you hate it, and, hopefully it just pulls right off the wall. But even if you have to do a little bit of work to get it off, I would recommend maybe using a steamer on it, before peeling it off. That's going to help you. But even if you hate it in a couple of years, you don't have to spend a ton of money to have someone come and remove it anymore. You can kind of easily take it off, paint over it, put something new up. And there's just so many different options with wallpaper. So I say yes, I love wallpaper. And if you're thinking about wallpapering, I think you should do it.
Thank you, ladies. I would love to hear about your next upcoming episodes.
Yeah, so we are going to do this the first full week of every month. And the next webisode we're going to do is about outdoor renovations and design. And then in August, we're going to do one about your home office or home workspace and how to feng shui that. And I'm so excited about that one. So we'd love to have you guys join us again. Our contact information is here on the slide. Please feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys, whether it's questions or new topics you'd love us to talk about. We'd love to see you again.
Thank you both so much for being here today. We appreciate it and looking forward to the next ones.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye for now, everybody.